Thank you, everybody. So before I get started, I want to recognize a number of folks. So first of all, thank you, Rich, the board chair and the chairman, and the entire board. Also, Christine Weber, who does such a great job for the chamber. I want to recognize first our city council members who are here with us. Sean Blake, our council president and Ward 1 councilman. John Krieger, our council vice president and Ward 4 representative. Janet Dowling, Ray Kirchner, who are our at-large members. Scott Marn, at-large member, and Matthew Donovan, who's our Ward 2 council member, and Mark Freeman, our Ward 3 councilman. So we appreciate being able to work with them on a daily basis, and a lot of what I will talk to you about is a direct result of all of the work that they put in as well. I want to welcome our county commissioners here as well, our school board members, Superintendent Heath, thank you for hosting us here today. Thank you to our sponsors, and also I want to recognize our city union representatives for the city's labor unions, which are here with us. We have several of our city directors here today. I just want to give them a quick shout out. We have Dave Swigger, our city engineer, Dave Malinowski, our finance director, Kathy Cantanzariti, our planning director, Ken Gunch, our police chief, Ken Kaminsky, our Parks and Rec director, Kevin Malachek, our economic development director, Lauren Vernon, our public works director, Ron Zach, our fire chief, Robert Fowler, our assistant city manager, Taylor Garsick, who is going to be managing the visuals here today, our public information officer, and Ali Sehan, our chief technology officer, and Kevin Grippy, our grant supervisor. So a lot of what I'll be talking about today is a direct result of their efforts as well. So this year, our community, like many across the United States, will be preparing for the semi-quincentennial United States celebration. In plain terms, our country's 250th birthday on July 4th, 2026. And we know of at least 8 Revolutionary War veterans that made Mentor their home following their service in the American struggle. One of them, John Reynolds, was born in the Connecticut colony and was a part of the Lexington Alarm. The Lexington Alarm was responsible for spreading the word throughout the colonies that the Revolutionary War had begun following the Battle of Lexington. He enlisted in 1776. He achieved the rank of sergeant and survived Valley Forge. So Mr. Reynolds was like most American colonists. He's simple people who moved to places like Mentor, Ohio, to resume their lives. There's very little record of what they did and the lives that they lived after the American struggle. But the legacy they collectively left behind by their actions is the astonishing country that we have today. Mentor resident John Reynolds could never imagine that we would be talking about him 250 years after his contributions to our republic. But the legacy he helped create will never stop being talked about. It leads me to the question, what are the things we are doing as a community that will outlast us? Is it what we create? Is it what we preserve? Is it the tone we set for the generations that follow us? What will today's community legacy be when the future delivers its verdict? So no community or individual can aspire to a bright future without a safe environment to reach their potential. And keeping our community safe remains the city's highest priority. And the outstanding efforts of our police department yielded very good results over the last year. With over 20,000 calls for service, our criminal offenses were actually down 21%. Adult arrests were down 40%, and our OVI arrests were down 27%. We think a lot of this has to do with the fact that with the legalization of marijuana, because our drug arrests overall were down 64% last year. But the decrease in the number of minor drug offenses allows us to focus on some of the more serious drug offenders. A good example of that, we had a Mentor resident who died from an overdose death at the age of 24 in 2023. Sadly, this person had just completed drug rehab, and he ended up overdosing on fentanyl pills that were pressed to look like 30 milligram Percocet pills. So our Mentor investigators recovered his cell phone, and which revealed a phone number that the victim was communicating with, so to purchase the pills. So our narcotics detectives arranged to purchase more pills posing as the victim. And along with the Lake County Narcotics Agency, they were able to arrest this individual. So in addition to multiple drug charges, as well as he was charged with involuntary manslaughter and felonious assault for striking the detective's cars as he was fleeing. So I mention this because, and that person was actually just recently, last month, sentenced to 24 years in prison. So it's important for us to be getting people like that off of the streets of our city. These type of operations present serious risk to our police officers. If you look at a picture that is up on the screen, you'll see a picture of an AR-15 that was seized during a drug buy in our city. And as you can see, it's positioned right next to the gear shift there, ready to be used. I'm happy to announce that we are nearly back to full strength in our police department. A department our size can expect to lose about 3 people a year due to retirements. So last year, we were actually able to hire 11 new officers. 10 of those were sworn in August as the largest single hiring event in our department history. Hiring new officers is getting to be more difficult because fewer people are interested in law enforcement as a career. So we have really stepped up our game in recruiting efforts in our department. As part of that, our city began its first ever junior police academy in 2024. This program is designed for youngsters going into 6th, 7th, and 8th grades who are interested in learning about law enforcement and other means of public safety. As part of the program, cadets learn about the basic functions of a police department, and then they attend classes in topics such as patrol procedures, traffic enforcement, canine handling, crime scene processing, and they also learn some self-defense techniques as well as go through some physical fitness training. We're actually going to double the size of that program in 2025. The goals of that program are to foster positive interaction between the youth of our community and law enforcement, and to encourage some of them as well to consider down the road law enforcement as a career. To further the bond with our adult residents, we will begin our first ever Citizens Police Academy in 2025. This is a 6 to 8 week program, and that'll have weekly sessions that focus on police department structure and functions. They'll do training activities, use of force and de-escalation techniques. They'll learn community policing strategies. They'll do ride-alongs with our officers, as well as engage in mock exercises that put the participants in real-life policing scenarios. And the goals of that program are to just build better transparency within the community and our police force, also to provide our residents with an understanding of police procedures and the challenges that our police officers are facing, as well as encourage community involvement in crime prevention and other public safety initiatives. As I've said before, the volume of police calls for service in our city remains remarkably consistent year to year, around that 20,000 mark. The same cannot be said for our fire division. For the first time in our city's history, our fire department responded to over 10,000 calls for service. About 77% of those are EMS calls. And if we look at the changes over the decades, if you take a look at a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year, even a 40-year look back, on average, the calls for service in our city are rising between 3 and 3.5% a year. If you just look back 25 years to the year 2000, to today, we have about 80% more calls for service than we did, and yet in 2000, we had about 3,000 more residents. So we're going to be doing a lot of data crunching this year and looking at some ways that we might be able to reduce that trend by taking some preemptive actions within the community. So these run totals place a lot of stress on meeting our personnel demands. Our city is a combination department, which means we have both part-time and full-time personnel on duty. Part-timers are getting much tougher to find and also to keep within our department. So for that reason, we'll be adding 6 new full-time career firefighters to our staff this year. And speaking of personnel changes in our department, the city just recently, earlier this month, swore in our city's 5th new fire chief, Mr. Ron Zach. Ron, you want to stand up or give us a wave? Ron has been with the city for 33 years, and he replaced Bob Searles, who was with the city for 37 years. And like his predecessor, Chief Zach has actually served in every single position within our fire department. And among his goals are an emphasis on even more rigorous training within the department, because advanced training really is the most important aspect of our response capabilities. And part of our legacy as a community must be that persons in difficult situations were able to survive because they got the best available care and time. So some of the things that we'll be training on last year and going into this year are live structure fire training, ice rescue, vehicle stabilization, electrical safety. We'll be doing a helicopter landing zone safety, and putting a heavy emphasis on pediatric advanced life support this year. Giving our firefighters the means to do their job is important as well. Our Mentor City Council has ensured that our firefighters always have what they need. I believe that we have the most capable and modern service fleet in Northeast Ohio, but this year we entered into a contract to purchase a $2.2 million Pierce 100-foot ladder truck that we expect to be delivered in 2027. And a vehicle like that, a ladder truck of that length, is necessary because of the size and height of a lot of the buildings, especially manufacturing buildings in our community. But this particular vehicle will actually build a lot of flexibility into our fleet. It's more compact, it's got advanced maneuverability, and it can be used as a frontline engine, which helps us with some of our staffing flexibility. We'll also be replacing a 25-year-old inflatable rescue boat with a rigid hull vessel. It allows us to get more personnel on it and more equipment. It's just a lot safer for Lake Erie rescues, which are becoming a lot more common for our fire department. At our last council meeting, our council approved a contract for the purchase of 2.7 acres at the intersection of Plaza Boulevard and State Route 84. This will be the location of our new station number 3. So you'll remember this as the location of the old Sears Auto Center. So we're about to begin the design phase of that, and we expect to be under contract by the end of the year and to be able to open that station by the end of 2026. The preparedness of our first responders and our service workers is especially critical during major weather events. And as you all know, Mother Nature certainly had its way with us over this last year. We had a heavy snow event on November 21st that downed several trees and portions of trees, several power lines in our city that led to over 100 emergency calls for service that day. And we were still cleaning up from that event when about 4 feet of snow got dumped on us in early December. But the worst weather event of the year occurred on August 6th. In addition to 5 tornadoes in the area, Mentor and Western Lake County experienced what was known as a macro burst event, where 70 to 100 mile an hour winds came through across a 15-mile wide path. And as many of you in the room probably know, that led to wide-scale power outages, lots of downed trees, and significant damage to our power grid. We had trucks coming in from all over the country to help us get back up and running, and we had over 130 calls for service that day. One of the positive outcomes with that was our city council and staff and administrative staff. We've been able to engage more directly with First Energy to help find ways to build more resilience into our grid, and so those discussions will continue. But these events make us appreciate the dedication and skills of our city employees, who work incredibly hard to make sure that our residents make the best out of these difficult conditions. We are very fortunate that there were no fatalities or serious injuries as a result of some of these major events of the year. And a lot of that starts with early preparation. Our Public Information Office does a great job of keeping the public informed in real time about major emergency situations, both through our website and numerous platforms on social media. And we use those platforms to aggressively encourage people to sign up for the County Wireless Emergency Notification System, otherwise known as the WEN system. So if you haven't signed up for that, you should do so. It provides you with emails or texts or phone calls automatically when these emergency scenarios exist. And of the almost 28,000 signups that we have in Lake County, 44% of those are from Mentor residents. So we're very much outperforming the rest of the county in that respect. Our dispatch services, again, had a very busy year, and they were the first line of defense when these emergency situations commenced. They received over 100,000 calls for service last year and did so flawlessly. Our public works employees, they work long hours keeping our roads open, and they don't always get the recognition that they deserve. So just know that keeping our roads clear is an important task for all of us. And even our parks employees show tremendous resilience during these events. When that big storm in August came through, it was actually on a Tuesday, and there was a scheduled Mentor Rocks event that night. Obviously, you can see by some of those pictures that we took a pretty brutal hit there as well. But we were able to make that concert go forward the next day using generator power. And, some people would have thought, well, there's a lot of other higher priorities, which we, of course, were meeting at the time. But we thought it was important as a community to show resilience and give our residents an opportunity to, just even for a couple hours, get away from some of the difficult scenarios that they were dealing with. But what Mother Nature takes, it also gives to us. We had on April 8th was a lifetime event in Lake County, and as we were situated in nearly the ideal location in the United States for the total solar eclipse, thousands of visitors flooded Lake County, and in typical Mentor fashion, we made a big party out of it. So at our Mentor Amphitheater grounds, our Eclipse Watch Party had live broadcasts by meteorologists from Channel 5. Our events were actually broadcast on NASA Channel's live stream. We had lectures by planetary scientists from NASA as well as geologists from the National Park Service, and food and games and music for children and guests. But the real star above us, pun intended, was quite awe-inspiring indeed. As some of you may have noticed, the harsh winter has this year wreaked a lot of havoc on our roadways. But as in the past, the city will be having an ambitious capital improvements program planned for the coming year. In 2024, we invested about $4 million in our local roads and sidewalks. This year, we'll invest about $7 million in over 40 roadways. Some of those bigger projects include Corduroy Road from the south end of the causeway to Garden Lane. That's about a $500,000 project. We'll be replacing all of the concrete pavement on Mercantile Drive between Hamilton Drive and the Mercantile Extension. That's about $1 million worth of work. And we'll be resurfacing Hoos Road from King Memorial to the Concord Township line, which is about a $700,000 project as well. But we've also tried to be mindful of parking improvements as our facilities and programs become more popular. This last year, we actually doubled the size of the parking lot at our senior center. This is a $1.2 million investment that added 115 new spaces there. And the neat thing about that is that, well, the senior center closes in the early evening, so those same spaces are now available for all the events at the amphitheater, including Mentor Rocks. At our marina, we added a 16,000 square foot permeable paver parking area. This is about a $600,000 investment that will host 22. Provide parking for 22 boat trailers. That opens up parking at the main parking lot at our nature preserve as well. We'll do about another $1 million in parking lot and driveway improvements in our cemetery, at the rec center, in the rear lot of our rec center, as well as at the Wildwood Cultural Center. But probably the biggest transformation will be at Blackbrook Golf Course. This will be a complete reconstruction of the parking lot, but really it'll change the whole complexion of the entry there. There's some really ugly and intrusive power lines and poles that run right through the middle of that parking lot. So we're going to put that all underground. We're going to put attractive parking islands with decorative lighting in there as well. So it'll just be quite nice when you enter the golf course going forward. This year, we'll also be adding a new parking lot to the Civic Center complex. This will be 158 spaces. that will be on the just southeast of the Civic Center pool and connect into Munson Road. This is a little over a $2 million investment. Again, between this and the senior center parking, it'll add about 300 spaces for our amphitheater and ice arena events. But parking is not our only consideration when improving city facilities. We're also very much focused on accessibility. We will be installing a sidewalk project on Tyler Boulevard that'll run on the south side. This will be a concrete sidewalk on the south side that'll run between Heisley and Hopkins Road. This is almost a $600,000 project that's made available in large part from a $416,000 grant from Lake Tran. And just a few years ago, Lake Trans started running bus service up and down Tyler Boulevard to be able to serve our manufacturing community. And this is really the main heart of our manufacturing district. So a lot of the folks that come and go and work there have really just had to walk along the streets in order to move from the bus stop. So this will allow them and more people with less mobility to be able to take jobs along our manufacturing corridor. At the Wildwood Cultural Center, we'll be doing several accessibility projects. We'll be improving the 2 miles of trail that run through the woods there for handicapped access. Those trails will be widened to 10 feet. We'll put in drainage, put in a compacted base, and then a fine limestone aggregate surface. This is about a $220,000 project, and we received a $150,000 grant from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to get that moving forward. We're also going to be replacing the rear patio in its entirety behind Wildwood. If you've been back there, it's actually all torn up now because we had to do some work to address some issues with water infiltration in the manor house. But when this project's complete, you'll have full handicap accessibility across the entire rear of that property, and it'll also connect directly into the trail system. We're also going to begin some design this year on creating a handicap access to the north end of the building. If you're inside the building now and you want to make your way from the south end to the north end, you actually have to go through the kitchen to do that. So we'll be creating an access point. Also, as a part of that project, we'll be adding some handicap accessible restrooms that will be accessible from the exterior of the building as well. So if you're walking on the trails, you need to use the restrooms, you'll no longer have to come inside the building to do so. One road project that I have yet to mention is the planning for what will become one of our largest improvements in the coming years. We're in the beginning phases of improvements to the bridge deck that runs on 615 over Interstate 90. Our intention is to widen this from 3 lanes to 4 lanes, and then also add turning lanes to the east and westbound off-ramps onto 615. This is about a $15 million project. We currently have a request into the Ohio Department of Transportation for $3 million to do the design and environmental work this year. We're actually expected to hear the outcome of that tomorrow, so we're hoping that will move forward. And the improvements at that interchange are vital to accommodate anticipated growth in the immediate area. A traffic study that we performed as part of this project estimates that development in the immediate area will add an additional 4,000 cars a day over the next 15 years. And we believe that much of that growth will be a direct result of the Cleveland Clinic Mentor Hospital. The Mentor Hospital just celebrated its first year of operation in 2024, and their results outpaced their expectations by a pretty good margin. They had 60,000 total patients there last year. 60% of those are coming from Lake County, so our people are using the hospital. Their outpatient visits exceeded expectations by 94%, and their surgical cases were up 9% over expectations. And actually, over half of the 6,000 hospital transports that our EMS providers make go directly to the hospital. So we're actually joined here today, and we want to welcome the new president of the Hillcrest and Mentor Hospitals, Dr. Brian Hart, who replaced Dr. Rick Parker just recently, who recently retired. So, Dr. Hart, where are you? There you are right there. So welcome to Mentorship. So Cleveland Clinic is also expanding their presence on Norton Parkway. They are consolidating their physical therapy services on the ground floor of the Newell Creek Professional Center, which is now completely full. That's about a 10,000 square foot area. They'll be putting a therapy pool in there as well, and so we're excited to see that come to fruition this year as well. The building, one of the buildings that they are exiting is the building that's just south of the intersection of Menor Avenue and Center Street, and that will become the new Goldfish Swim School, which is actually a franchise that teaches kids from 4 months to 12 years old on how to swim. The neat thing of this project is that they will be consolidating the corner lot with the lot that the building is on. And for those of you who have driven past there over the last couple of decades, you know that that's been vacant for a very, very long time. There's an abandoned gas station that really hasn't developed into anything. So consolidating that lot is important. They'll be doing some decorative fencing as part of the project, as well as significant landscaping, and the cities will be receiving an easement to be able to put a signage there welcoming people into the old village district. So we're looking forward to that. Like the Goldfish Swim School, there are always new retail players making Mentor their home. Some of those in the last year included Ken Ganley Chrysler Jeep Ram on Menor Avenue, Caliber Collision, which made a $2.3 million investment on Tyler Boulevard, the Brush Boutique on Menor Avenue that provides fine clothing, D&D Meadery on Twin Brook Drive, which which produces mead wine. If you don't know what that is, it's honey wine. Give it a taste, pretty good. Clean Express Car Auto Wash, which is interesting because it kind of repurposed a former Rite Aid on Munson Boulevard, so kind of an interesting project. We had a number of food and restaurant openings this past year as well. The Human Bean on Menor Avenue, I hope I'm saying this right, the Kali Tea Shop on Diamond Center, Tropical Smoothie Cafe on Menor Avenue, Tommy Boy's Pizza and Pub on Tyler, Jet's Pizza on Center Street, Rally House on Menor Avenue, YTM Sushi on Menor Avenue, as well as Federalis Street Tacos on Menor Avenue. This year, we're excited to see the construction start on Lynn's Garden Cafe, which is kind of a really attractive cafe that's just west of Center Street on Menor Avenue, and they'll have an outdoor patio as well. And we expect that Kearney's Public House, which is a pub restaurant on Center Street right across from City Hall, they received approval this year, and they're planning on starting construction as well this year. I can't offer you any details on this, but I did want to just let you know that we are seeing some significant movement on some of the legacy properties in our city, the Sears property, the Macy's property, as well as at least one other prominent big box. We are in discussions with developers on potential projects for that I think at least in some cases we'll be able to announce at some point this year. Our friends at the Menor Public Library have another ambitious project going forward. They will be making significant site improvements at their main branch on Menor Avenue that include greatly expanded active green space. They'll have an open pavilion, improved walkways, and a network of new walking trails through there. They'll have reconfigured parking, which will improve both parking access and some of the traffic flow through there, as well as making 2 separate building additions. So all of this with an eye toward better service toward our community, which we're looking forward to. Last November, the voters approved the rezoning of 8 acres of property at Heisley and Hendricks Roads. This went from light manufacturing to general business. And we don't exactly know yet what will go there, but we think it'll be a popular location given its given it's right next door to our recreation center. So we're looking forward to seeing what will develop there. But the heart of Menor's economy remains manufacturing, and there continues to be strong demand for industrial space in the Mentor market. But we are somewhat challenged by the fact that we have limitations on the green space that's available for new development and also incredibly low vacancy rates. Of the 14 million square feet of industrial space in our city, only 1.9% of it is vacant. This is a good problem to have, but one that still must be managed. But despite that, we continue to see overall growth among the companies invested here. Just this past year, Millrose Laboratories, which makes a broad range of medical brushes, made a $2 million expansion. And Component Repair Technology, or CRT, has seen unprecedented growth in recent years, and they're a world leader in aircraft engine parts repairs. And just this past year, they were acquired by a French company, Safran Aircraft Engines, to strengthen their maintenance and repair capabilities. And they produced what's referred to as the cutting-edge LEAP engine, which is produced with a joint venture with another good Ohio company, GE Aerospace. These engines are specifically for narrow-bodied aircraft, and CRT is one of the few companies in the world that can provide repair and maintenance on those. So Safran is promising major investment in all their facilities, and we're hoping that that translates to Mentor as well. But Safran's acquisition further establishes the city's reputation as a location for global companies to invest. And we continue to seize on this advantage with our Mentor International Trade Initiative. Last spring, a Mentor delegation visited a company called the Halcyon Group at their corporate headquarters in Roscommon, Ireland. And they are Ireland's largest hygiene services company, and they're growing exponentially in the UK as well. And that visit led to several focused visits to our city, and they also met with regional agencies as well as a number of potential customers. And that's culminated in a decision to begin doing business here this year. They will be producing some of the world's highest efficiency vegetable oil reconditioning units that are used in the restaurant industry. And I did notice that they've also just become a chamber member, so that was very interesting. So here are a few comments from their CEO, Mr. Peter Kirwan, on his experience with our city.
What attracted us to Mentor, and everybody we've dealt with a Mentor, is that passion they have. They want to make a change. They want, very much like a rural Ireland, they want to improve their locality. They're proud of where they're from. They want to speak about it. And that means a lot to us as a company when the people we're dealing with are passionate about their community. And we will go away now with a great understanding of the attraction of the locality, not just from a business perspective, but from a lifestyle perspective. And the package that's put together is very clever in how it kind of draws you in and makes you even think, I could live here very easy. So it's very clever how you guys actually do that. And if anybody came and didn't leave impressed, regardless of what they're going to do afterwards, well, then they are very difficult people to impress.
Another Irish company, Amethyst Care, which uses voice technology to care for people with mobility-related illnesses, visited Mentor this past year and will be returning in March for the purpose of setting up trials with various healthcare consortiums and service firms with an eye toward a future presence here in our city. And their CEO, Rebecca McManus, also had some thoughts on her visits here.
It's been incredible. I've done a lot of business in the US over the last number of years, the East Coast and other places. But since I've come here, I've gotten the warmest welcome. Everybody's just been so incredibly nice and supportive. And the agenda that was put together for me, I didn't have to do anything. I just had to get on the flight, get here, and just show up. And it's been seamless. We've had some incredible meetings with the likes of the VA and the Cleveland Clinic. I've gained so many valuable insights in terms of the US market and what the healthcare landscape looks like here. So it's just been incredible. The culture here is something else. It's my first time in Ohio, for one, and the kindness from the people here. Everybody's so warm and welcoming and supportive and wants to help you. And I haven't gotten that support from people, in Ireland, in the UK, in other states in the US. So I think being here, it's like a hidden gem. And that's what I've seen since I've got here.
So the connection to Amethyst Care resulted from a presentation in Dublin, Ireland, that a Mentor delegation gave on the benefits of doing business in our city in partnership with a group called the Guinness Enterprise Center. And it's partnerships with organizations like the Guinness Enterprise Center that makes possible the direct engagements that we get to have with companies who are looking to invest in the United States, and which also provides us a network to tap into when Mentor companies or Lake County companies are interested in breaking into the European market. In fact, in visiting our city this week and here with us today are the CEO of the Sligo, Ireland Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Aidan Doyle, the president of the Sligo Chamber, Fintan Kennedy, and two representatives of the Sligo County Council, Emer Concannon, and their head of enterprise, Liam Keeley. And County Sligo, like County Mayo, has an important connection to Northeast Ohio, and we hope to form a lasting relationship with our guests. So, want to give us a wave, guys, there. Welcome to Mentor. So much of the success of economic development efforts depend on relationships like these. We're also joined today by Mr. Mark Owens. Mr. Owens is Vice President of Marketing and Communications for Team NEO. He's also the president of the Cleveland Irish Business Network and is the first ever honorary consul of Ireland for Ohio. That role is an important element of the Irish state's global engagement, and Mark has been a huge asset to our city. He's accompanied the Mentor delegation to Ireland to offer his expertise and diplomatic credentials toward our efforts, and also in assisting Irish companies when visiting our city. So, Mark, thank you for being here, and thank you for all you do for us. As we continue our efforts to bring new business to our city from places like Ireland, the UK, and from our own shores, we are working on the things that will make Mentor more attractive to investors. Last year, we completed a comprehensive housing study that revealed some of the housing needs in our community and offered some policy considerations that our city council is actively taking up for their consideration. Some of the things that the study pointed out, obviously, was the need for higher density multifamily and for affordable housing needed to support our employer network here in the city. And we're really happy to see, we hope moving forward soon, the Uptown Mentor project on Mentor Avenue. This is really going to be a beautiful facility. It's a 4-story, 73,000 square foot building. 17,000 feet of that will be commercial space on the first floor, probably hosting some restaurants, and above that there'll be 45 residential living units. Building on that housing study, our City Council is preparing for the future by updating our comprehensive land use plan this year, and that will consider how current economic conditions will influence future development trends, and in all likelihood will lead to some updating of our land use policy as we move forward to meet future expectations. In meeting the need for human capital, the Alliance for Working Together, otherwise known as AWT, has blossomed in just its second full year of operation. They provide tailored training to employees of our local manufacturers, and also expose and train the youth of our community to become the next generation of manufacturing workers. And at one of the presentations that they just recently gave, we learned that in the year 2023, they had 8,000 engagements with students. In 2024, they had 23,000. So that's really amazing work. And I think we're joined today by Roger Sustar. Is Roger here? Let's see. Ah, there he is over there. So Roger, of course, is the founder of AWT. We also have board president Allison Scott and Teresa Simons, the CEO and executive director, with us here today. So we appreciate all the work that you guys are doing because it makes our job a lot easier as well. The City of Mentor, Lakeland College, and Ohio's Jumpstart program are working on a partnership that will support smaller companies that need affordable short or midterm space to accelerate their businesses to the next level. And that has become one of the barriers of some of the international companies that we interact with, as well as companies at the local level. And this space would be hosted at Lakeland College, and President Ahuja is with us today, and we thank him for looking at this partnership with us, as well as Jumpstart CEO Julia Giacona, who's been very helpful in getting this moving forward. The success of our business community has been the city's success as well, as we once again set a record in 2024 for total local income tax collections, exceeding 2023 by 10% and achieving the city's largest recorded carryover balance. We're also proud of the fact that for the 10th consecutive year, the city received the highest possible award from the State Auditor's Office, the Auditor's Award with Distinction, which is in recognition of a clean, fully compliant audit report. And I'm going to embarrass one of my staff members today. David Malinowski, who has been with the city for 29 years, will be retiring this spring. And he's been an amazing caretaker of our public funds and investments and a real gentleman to work with. So where are you, Dave? Stand up and be recognized. I will tell you that you can be assured that every penny of your tax dollars is well regarded by our finance department. But financial success is only a part of our community's legacy. The people and organizations that make Mentor their home are so much a part of what binds our community together. Their legacies are already in the making. We are fortunate to celebrate several milestones over the last year, and some of them were already mentioned here at the beginning of this presentation. But I also want to point out Brunner Sandin Dietrich Funeral Home and Cremation Center celebrated 75 years of business in Mentor in 2024. And our county's public transportation system, Lake Tran, just celebrated its 50th anniversary. And there is one individual milestone that I want to recognize today. We have a man with us who is our special guest, who has dedicated decades to volunteering, charity, and fundraising work in our city. He's worked with veterans, students, hospice care. He's been a successful businessman. He is the oldest graduate of Lakeland College at the age of 88. He fought in Normandy in World War II, fought through France, Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg, Germany. He was part of the relief troops effort in the Battle of the Bulge, and his World War II efforts earned him the Combat Infantry Badge, two Purple Hearts, the Bronze Star, the Legion of Honor by the French government. He is a Mentor resident and a real American hero. Bob Zonneville just turned 100 last January, and he's with us today. He's here with his lovely partner, Elvira, as well. He said you're here with your lovely partner, Elvira, so thank you, Bob, for being here, and we have nothing but amazing respect for everything you've done. Mr. Zonneville is among many heroes we are fortunate to celebrate in our community. Many of those, I am proud to say, are among our dedicated employees who often go above and beyond their call of duty. On October 19th, a 42-year-old man crashed into the garage of his home as a result of suffering a full cardiac arrest. The first to arrive at the scene was Patrolman Jacob Jones, who identified the victim, who was in cardiac arrest, and began chest compressions. Shortly after that, two other patrolmen, Ryan Harum and Jacob Hendrickson, for 5 minutes alternated performing CPR until our Mentor paramedics arrived. The paramedics took over care and defibrillated the patient using an AED, and that shock took the patient out of pulseless VTAC into a condition commonly known as torsades. Torsades is a particular form of ventricular tachycardia that is very rare, and most EMTs will never see this or be able to diagnose it over a career. But our medics did correctly identify it and administered the called for magnesium sulfate, which allowed the patient to regain a pulse and start breathing on his own. And we were happy to learn that that patient actually made it home for his family at Christmas time. To give you some idea how remarkable that diagnosis was, the Cleveland Clinic recognized firefighters Stephen Markovich, Michael Fear, Connor Trick, Anthony Fellenstein, and Lieutenant David Horvath at their annual EMS Awards Gala, which celebrates excellence in emergency medical care. And this is one of just 6 calls out of 122,000 in the region that were honored in such a fashion. So we appreciate all that they do. Also, Patrolman Jones, Harriman Hendrickson will also be receiving the Lake County Chiefs of Police Life-Saving Award as well. On July 5th, firefighter Rob Tassone, Patrick Knowlton, Travis Willis, and Jason Duke responded to a woman in labor. When they arrived, the contractions were 1 minute apart, and they loaded the patient for transport to Tri-Point Hospital. But 6 minutes after leaving the scene, our guys delivered a healthy baby boy on Route 44 on the way. So both mom and baby are very healthy, and here's a picture of baby and family visiting station number 5. On March 12th, Patrolman Ben Hildebrecht responded to a call to a local business to assist with a person who was choking. When he arrived, he found a man holding a 2.5-year-old boy who was limp, purple in color, and completely non-responsive. Officer Hildebrecht administered several back blows until the child began to cry. He swept the mouth, but to find an obstruction, and finding none, administered several other back blows until the obstruction was cleared and the child began to return to normal. There's no question that his quick action saved the child's life, and for that, he was also awarded the Life-Saving Award by the Lake County Chiefs of Police. This past January 10th, we had a scary incident at our Menor Recreation Center. A seemingly healthy 24-year-old man collapsed into full cardiac arrest during a soccer match. Within 20 seconds, one of our staff members, Sarah Escandon, was on the field rendering aid while 911 was called. She was joined by Kim Akey, who also assisted directly, and they used an AID to assist until our paramedics arrived, and they were able to preserve his life until greater care arrived. Without that training and the equipment, this probably would have been a tragic occurrence. And all of our city facilities, as well as in particular all of our recreation facilities, all have AEDs on hand and have personnel that are trained to use them. An interesting story to that, Kim Akey, who is pictured up there, just happened to be a spectator in the crowd last year at one of our Men of Rocks events. And just before the concert started, there was a gentleman who went into cardiac arrest, and she was able to render aid to him as well. So we're really proud of the fact that the skills that they're learning on the job with us are able to translate into benefit for the community at large. And some heroes that we know become so because of the impact our community has had on them. This little video shows Yosan Porter. Yosan is a Euclid resident who attended the Menor High School EMT Academy, and you've heard Superintendent Heath talk about that academy over many years. It's a joint vocational training program between the school district and the city that trains high schoolers to attain a basic EMT certification upon completion. On July 26, Chris Ford was riding his motorcycle in Euclid when he was struck by a hit-and-run driver. He was seriously injured and lost a part of his leg at the incident, and Yosan was nearby and immediately stopped and applied a tourniquet to stop the blood loss. Mr. Ford, the victim, is absolutely convinced that he would have lost his life that night without Yosan's intervention, and Yosan credits his training and mentor for his ability to respond. An interesting aside to that, we learned that after finishing the academy here, he kind of became less enthusiastic about a career and kind of got away from it. But since this incident, he's back on track to become an EMT. So great job with our school district as well. We are very sad to experience the loss of one of our canines this year. Our Achilles passed in August due to a sudden medical condition. But coming almost immediately on the tails of that, we had a deceased Concord resident who was struck by the good work that our canines do And in part of her charitable trust, she gifted the city nearly $250,000 to be used toward our canine units. And so some of that was recently used for the purchase of a new dog. Aries will be Terry Wergler's new partner, and Aries is currently in training, and hopefully he'll be on the job here soon. We're also thankful to the Rotary Club of Mentor, who, as part of it, had a fundraising event in October that raised enough money to provide 6 new AEDs for our police department, and with a match from our department, all police units currently will carry the most updated AEDs, and AEDs have been available in all our police units for over a decade now. The importance of AEDs in the hands of our first responders and city workers is a good example of how technology and advanced equipment are helping us serve the public and assure better outcomes in emergency situations. The Mentor Police Department drone team consists of 5 FAA-certified pilots using advanced drones for a whole slew of things, some of which include search and rescue operations, missing and fleeing persons, and large event security. You might see these. They've been flying over most of our amphitheater events, so if you see them, you'll know that there are police drones because they have blue and red flashing lights with them as well. Our police department was also awarded a Homeland Security grant this past year to purchase a mobile camera trailer. This is a surveillance camera that's mounted on a mast. It's mobile, and we can use this at city events to record all the activity and assist with investigations and documentations of any incidents. And we use this kind of technology to help, as well as just overwhelming police officer support, to make sure that some of the bad outcomes you've seen at other public events around the region don't happen in our city. Our 29 flock license plate cameras that are deployed throughout the city continue to aid us in crime prevention and apprehension. Last year, they assisted with 113 arrests, some of which were weapons offenses, and helped us locate 5 missing persons. This year, we purchased new bomb suits for our bomb squad. This is the best available level of protection for those officers who have to work with dangerous weapons and ordinances. These are about $50,000 a piece, and all of our members are fully equipped now. The mobile home shooting last year compelled us to place an even greater emphasis on equipment that will better protect our police officers when placed in the most dangerous and hostile conditions. We did already purchase more protective ballistic shields, and our city council just recently agreed to purchase a police armored vehicle, which will allow our SWAT team to deploy quickly to engage active shooters. That will be delivered in 2026. There are a couple of these units in Lake County, but Mentor doesn't have one. So again, getting that deployed to us in time really didn't work as well for us in last year's incident. So we will be purchasing this approximately $500,000 vehicle this year. Our fire department is also upgrading to the next generation ballistic body and head protection. This equipment will be available on all engines, all of our fire engines within the city. And it comes along with an understanding that our firefighters also have to be deployed quickly to deal with injured persons at active shooter scenarios. Led by our information technology department, the city is initiating this year a long-term strategy beginning with rapid digitalization of our city data sets to put AI to work for better security, analysis, reporting, and decision-making in our community. We're already using AI for cybersecurity. It helps to block about 60,000 cyber attacks that we get on a daily basis. But really, we're just scratching the surface on what AI can do in the public sector to enhance our service model, and we want Mentor to be a leader in using these applications going forward. And the deployment of some of our specialty equipment highlights the caring attitude that our first responders bring to every call for service. We're one of the few departments that have a dog resuscitation equipment on all our rescue squads, and our medics are trained to render aid to dogs and other animals. We had a fire on Trillium Drive recently. In this particular case, the homeowners were not home. The neighbors were able to get one of two dogs out of the home, but the fire was too advanced to search for the other. So firefighters Sam Erdani and Kyle Skinner searched the house and found the dog curled up in a bathroom on the second floor. They removed the dog and applied oxygen and using the equipment that I mentioned and stimulating the dog, as you saw in that video. And his condition improved, and he was placed on a patient backboard and transported to the Metropolitan Animal Hospital in Highland Heights. And the dog became more alert by the time they arrived there, and as you could see by that images up there, he's a very happy boy today. So that's not the kind of outcome that every community would be able to realize. So seeing that dog revive makes us feel good because it connects us to a shared experience, how we value our pets as members of the family. And perhaps more than anything else, connecting with our fellow residents through positive experiences over time shapes our community legacy. And we're proud of the fact that our city's recreation programs provide so many creative opportunities for our residents and guests to positively interact with one another, and that those opportunities continue to grow for every age group. Last year, we offered 70 Learn to Swim programs with over 300 participants involved. The 4,000 senior center members were offered over 6,500 programs this past year. And they're doing some really kind of fun and cool things there. Some of the new programs include Coffee with Cops, mocktails on the patio. They're doing writing classes and hiking clubs. So just a whole new variety of creativity there. The Wildwood Cultural Center offers over 300 programs that include storytellers and author series, Northeast Ohio Investigation Series, adult prom and Mother's Day tea parties, needle felting and tie-dye clinics, as well as mixology mocktail classes as well. Our Mentor Ice Arena had 250 programs last year, and actually our Learn to Skate program became the second largest such program in the state of Ohio. Our farmers market has grown hugely. We had over 30,000 participants there last year. And our Natural Resources Division ran over 40 programs during the course of the year. They've given talks on rewilding our backyards, our residential backyards. They did bat and bird box workshops. And Neil Stein mentioned earlier, because their agency was a co-sponsor, but the city co-sponsored with other agencies, the new Headlands Birding Festival, which was a major new event and had over 600 participants there that came from as far away as Pennsylvania and North Carolina. So part of that event included expert presentations and birding trips and hikes. And we had two keynote speakers that spoke at the Springbrook Garden House. One of them, Greg Miller, is kind of famous. They had a movie made after him called The Big Year, which starred Jack Black as Mr. Miller. It also starred Owen Wilson and Steve Martin. And he actually was one of only a handful of people in the world that identified 700 different species of birds in 1 year. So something to put on your Netflix watch list, right? They also, our Natural Resource Division also had a tagging program with residents for endangered monarch butterflies. And these are lightweight stickers that get attached to the butterfly's wings, and they help scientists in Mexico quantify whether the winter population is rising or falling. Our Mentor Recreation Center finished its first full year of operations, and the results there have just been outstanding. We now have over 3,000 memberships that were sold and almost 7,000 members. There were 240,000 visitors to the rec center last year. They're offering now 1,700 different programs in aquatics, fitness, and sports, and along with 250 swim lesson classes. Our adult pickleball league expanded to 83 teams, which is a 500% growth. Our youth indoor soccer league grew to 162 teams, and they're engaging in a significant expansion of adaptive sports initiatives, which will allow persons with disabilities to compete with others. They're doing some fun events this year. There'll be a magic show in April there, as well as a Comic-Con style pop culture show in June. So the success of programs like these and the number of visitors to our parks facilities continues to drive support by our City Council for capital investment in our park system. I mentioned at Civic Center Park, I mentioned the new parking facility, but we'll also be adding 2 new full-court basketball courts, and the existing basketball court will actually be repurposed to add 3 new pickleball courts onto the 15 courts that we already have there. And we just refurbished in the fall all 15 of those with new surfaces, new fencing, and netting as well. The Lagoons Marina and Nature Preserve is also seeing significant investment. The new marina building will be up and running this year. That's a $1.2 million investment that'll house our kayak rentals, as well as a new concession stand and a new set of restrooms. The concession stand will have convenience foods like frozen pizzas and soft serve ice cream and that for all our visitors, whether to the marina or the nature preserve. We'll be putting up a 20 by 40 foot shelter house as well on the marina grounds. The Menor Harbor Channel walls will be restored this year. This is 90-year-old infrastructure that leads from our marina out to Lake Erie. This is a $6 million project. It's underway right now. It should be completed by December. We'll be starting phase 6 of our dock wall bulkhead replacement. We've stuck several $1 million into this program. We do about $500,000 to $600,000 a year. We've completed all of D-Dock, if you're familiar with that facility, and we'll be starting on E-Dock this year. In our nature preserve, we are hoping to move forward with starting construction of the 95-foot tall observation tower. You've heard me mention this in the past. This actually will be on the May ballot this year. We had to change the location. We found a preferred location, which is further upland into the preserve to give a much better, broader view of the Mentor Marsh. So we ask you all to support that on the ballot this year, and we have to do that because all capital improvements within the nature reserve have to be approved by our voters per our charter. We're continue to make some progress on our shoreline preservation work. We did complete a draft master plan this past year. We're doing some due diligence work out there now, but a much larger amount is required. We're waiting on some federal funding, and as you know, federal funding right now is a little suspect in a lot of places. So we're hoping that a request that has been put in by our congressman gets funded. We believe that it will be. The Blackbrook Golf Course will see the completion of a new cart storage building. That's an $800,000 investment, nearly completed. We'll also be purchasing 60 new golf carts there this year. The Wildwood Cultural Center saw the completion of our storage building just off the parking lot. And while this is really just a utilitarian structure, it really does add a lot of beauty to the overall manor grounds. And this year, we will begin the largest investment in our aquatics facility in our history. At Garfield Park, our splash pad project will be moving forward. We removed all of the pool last year, filled that in. While that's settling, we're under contract for design this year, and we'll be out to bid before the end of 2025 with construction expected in the fall and spring to be open for the season in 2026. And that is looking like it'll be around a $4 million investment at this point. We will be adding this year a new Civic Center pool water slide. This is kind of a mammoth structure. It's 42 feet high. It actually is 3 separate slides, and this is a $3 million independent investment. And then at the conclusion of this year's pool season, we will be remaking the entire Civic Center pool footprint. We will be demolishing all of the buildings there and begin constructing a series of connected buildings that will include a central entryway and check-in, restrooms and lockers. That you can see that from the pool side. Concession, there'll be a new concession, an outside covered eating area. The concession will also serve the pickleballers from the other side, so it'll be open from two sides. There'll be lifeguard accommodations, an enlarged spray park area there as well, and improved deck lounge area. This is a $7 million investment, and as you can see, that's what the entryway will look like. And the design of the new pool buildings will follow a themed architectural style to be carried through the entire Civic Center over time, the entire campus, with the Civic Amphitheater serving as the inspirational centerpiece for that. And that always, anytime I mention the amphitheater, it kind of brings me to the point of this presentation that a lot of you are here to hear, which is what's happening at Menor Rocks this year. So last year we had what we believed was our best season yet. We had national acts, Maddie and country artist Maddie and Tay. We had Canadian artist Finger 11 there, as well as Leanne Rhymes, which is was a fabulous concert. We had over 100,000 participants come to attend our concerts last year. So this year, which is season 9 of Menor Rocks, we have a great lineup of tribute acts. On June 3rd, we will have the return of 20 Ride, which is a Zac Brown tribute. On June 10th, we will have a band called In the End, which is a tribute to Linkin Park. On July 1st, Don't Look Back, which is a Boston tribute. On July 4th, our old friends Escape, which is a Journey tribute, will be with us. On July 8th, Run to You, which is a Bryan Adams tribute, will be here. On July 15th, Seven Summers, a Morgan Wallen tribute. On July 22nd, a group called Animals, which is a Maroon 5 tribute. July 29th, Live from Earth, a Pat Benatar tribute band. On August 15th, which is our City Festive, first day of our City Fest, we welcome back Def Legend, which is obviously a Def Leppard tribute. August 16th, the City Fest, Queen Nation will return. August 19th has yet to be decided. And on August 26th, Living on a Bad Name, which is a Bon Jovi tribute. And in recognition of the 100th performance since the opening of our amphitheater, we will have several special guests to celebrate all season with us. We have national acts lined up on June 17th. We have popular artist Gavin DeGraw. On June 24th, Uncle Cracker. On August 5th, country artist, the Eli Young Band, with special guest Sophia Scott. And on August 12th, we have a special performance by a double bill of 2000s hit makers, but we are under contractual obligation not to say anything until May. So I think you're going to be happy with that. So looking forward to being able to announce that soon. So in closing, this is a picture of a property that was first owned by a man named D.G. Branch, which sat at the northeast corner of Center Street and Menor Avenue. And this building opened as a tavern in 1815 when Menor Avenue was then known as the Buffalo Road. Little did Mr. Branch know that the same property would eventually host a post office, a library, a mill, a gas station, a drugstore, and a medical office building. And it's a reminder that circumstances over time will always shape change and transition in the places where we live. But legacies are made from events and actions of today that have a long-lasting impact on the future, regardless of circumstances. And it's obvious to me that the people who live and work in this community and the people who serve it through their leadership, investment, charity, ministry, and public service are contributing in many lasting ways that will reveal a legacy future generations will honor. It may be that some of the people and organizations among us will be remembered longer than others, but like the American revolutionaries, remembering the names is less important than the impact of their efforts. So I want to thank you all for listening to this rather large discussion, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might still have.